Welcome back, everybody, to Who's Your Band. I am Jeffrey Paul. I am joined by Mr. Sean Morton. How are you, Sean?
I'm very good, Jeffrey. I am putting together my top 5 records of the year, and we're going to talk about that very, very soon. Maybe this week, maybe next week. I don't know yet. It's my big thing I do every year. Every year I do this. Every year it's different. Good.
You had a busy weekend, man. You were a couple of shows, right?
Yeah, I saw Luke Combs on Monday. I went to see Eric Church last night. You know, not a bad country weekend. So see Shinedown on Tuesday, hopefully.
It's good to see music back. It's good to see tours happening. I heard this week, without a doubt, unless something really bad happens, the stadium tour looks like it's set. I've been looking forward to that for 2 years.
Yep, and we got Iron Maiden coming up in October of next year.
Iron Maiden is coming up. I thought they were coming in February.
October 22nd.
Right, they're doing a different version of Legacy of the Beast. I saw that tour. That they're gonna do it kind of in support of their new album. And they're going to also mix in with some greatest hits, which is kind of unusual for Maiden, because if they are touring in support of an album, they're going to do pretty much a big bulk of the album and forget about the greatest hits.
Yeah, I did a mistake one time. I went to see them and they were doing like a really bad album, and I heard the album and it was horrible. And then it says in the Aquarium, they're playing this album in full. I'm like, they're not going to play it in full. They're full of shit. They're not doing that in full. There's no way they're doing it in full. And I sat there with like 20,000 people all looking at each other like, are they going to play one fucking song that we know? Like, this is just horrible. And they wound up doing like Hallowed Be Thy Name and I think 2 Minutes to Midnight. And that was it.
Well, those are 2 great songs. Yeah. But in my opinion, Maiden doesn't have a bad album. And speaking of musical guests, I don't know. That's our segue for today.
That was a horrible segue, number one.
I was never voted boy to do the best segues. I never was. But but
why is that funny? I have no idea.
I don't know, because I'm a funny guy.
No, that's why I'm laughing.
I'm looking forward to talking to these two. I checked them out. They're cool. They're really interesting background, interesting music. So let's bring them in.
Horrible manager. Let's just get this out of the way. Horrible manager.
And ugly.
Horrible, disgusting.
Right.
He hangs out at truck stops. But we'll talk about that later on.
But we're welcoming in. They are a recording duo. They're a singing group. Let's welcome in Kingston and GreyStarr. How are you, ladies?
Hi. Great. How are you?
We're good. Lot to ask you, but let's start with the obvious. Okay, so we have the GreyStarr is from New Jersey, and Kingston is from England. How did you guys get together and meet and start this band?
Kingston, would you like to start our little story and I'll chime in?
Okay, once upon a time, there was a band. There was a band called Punky Meadows, Fallen Angels. So Punky Meadows had this glorious comeback. Our glam god, Punky, and we were basically hired as background singers. So we met in the studio, in Bob Pantella's studio of Monster Magnet, because Bob was on that tour as well. Yeah. And I was there. We had another singer at first, Jesse Wagner, who then got called to do Lenny Kravitz's tour. And then the bass player, Keith Roth, that you guys may know actually, said, let's get GreyStarr. Not called GreyStarr yet. So GreyStarr came. The first time we actually met was via lots of recorded voice memos from me very late at night singing harmonies. I'm like, okay, so after the chorus, you go, just a lie from a tower. And then I go, just a lie from a tower. So she got all of these recording, and then we met in the rehearsal studio, and we went on tour with Punky. So that was the first time that we met. And then in a random backstage dressing room in Vegas, what happened then? Bob Pantella was like, you girls need names. Names, actual names. And then he figured out what GreyStarr's name was.
He named us. He actually knighted us and named us in Vegas one night. and we became Kingston and GreyStarr.
So what is the significance of GreyStarr?
Well, Bob is our really good friend, and we see him a lot. So he always would notice that I always wear gray.
Obviously.
Right now.
Yeah.
And I always wear a star on my face in shows. So that is where he came up with GreyStarr.
Oh, so it was really hard to come up with then. Okay.
Yeah.
He was very adamant that there were going to be 2 R's at the end. He felt very strongly about the 2 R's at the end. So we were like, fine, we'll have 2 R's at the end. So GreyStarr.
I don't know, for some reason, I think it works. I like the name Kingston and GreyStarr. There's something kind of mysterious about it. I think it would make people want to check you guys out. That's kind of interesting. Like Punky Meadows, man. I remember him from Angel. Wasn't am I getting it mixed up? Wasn't you Free the guitarist in that band?
Keyboard player.
Okay, right.
You know some weird shit, man.
Yeah, well, I remember this band. It was during that whole glam rock type of thing. That kind of like I don't know, like more of like a 70s version of T-Rex, kind of like sweet, that's why it kind of, but a little heavier. And you guys, so Punky's making a comeback, and you guys are kind of like the Wendy and Lisa of this, right? Are you guys fan of Wendy?
Thank you for saying that. That's like a great compliment. Yeah,
well, let's get into the music, and before I start to ask you some other stuff. First of all, the EP is, give me the name of it again. I have it here, and
Covered in Glitter.
I think it's a really, really fun EP, and there's so much I want to get into about this. But the first thing is, listen, you never ask a woman how old she is, so I can ask you how much you weigh, right? No, I'm kidding. What I'm curious about is I really, really love the song choices that you guys put on this EP, and you guys sound phenomenal. I don't know if anyone's ever told you, but you give off a completely Veruca Salt sound.
We have been told that.
Yeah, they were great. I loved Volcano Girls. I remember seeing, Sean, I saw Veruca Salt at Starland Ballroom, and they were phenomenal. They were great. But
do you know the story? Do you know the new story that came out about Veruca Salt?
What's that?
That Dave Grohl was actually dating the lead singer of Veruca Salt. And
Which one, the blonde or the other one?
I don't remember, but Everlong is about her.
No, that's cool.
And I heard she also sang backup over the phone on a song. He called her at 2 a.m. and needed like a backup vocal.
Yep, I've heard that too.
It might have been on that song. I'm not sure.
It could be. That's a little
but
trivia.
But they were a fun group too. They were hard. They could sing. They played their instrument. They were a really good band. And let's start with a couple of the tracks here. The one that stands out to me that I loved was the In Excess song, Don't Change. Like why that song? And also almost every song that you pick is not like the song that the band is totally known for, except for the Talking Heads song. Okay.
Right.
But the In Excess song, what a great cover. Go ahead.
I don't really remember how we chose that. That was the first one we ever recorded together. But I think it
was your idea. It was totally GreyStarr's idea. She's like, let's fucking do this. Let's try it out. It was the song that we used to create our sound and our vibe. Mm-hmm. It was that first one. And it's not the most well-known song, which we dig.
I love that too. Like I love when an artist takes a cover song, it's so easy for like anybody to go, hey, we're going to do Stairway to Heaven. Right. Like, you know what I loved was Sophie B. Hawkins. Do you remember her?
Oh yeah. She was fantastic.
She did an amazing cover of I Want You by Bob Dylan on her first album. And, not a popular song in the least bit. And when Dylan sings, he's just atrocious to begin with. But she turned this into such an amazing cover. And that's one of the things I noticed about your guys' EP too. It's like it kind of takes it a little different. Like I love Suffragette City, first of all, because I'm a gigantic David Bowie fan.
Oh, great. So is Kingston.
Yeah, huge David Bowie fan. There's actually a great, I don't know where you are in Jersey, but if you live near Jersey City, New Jersey, right outside the Holland Tunnel, if you're going into the Holland Tunnel, you look to your left and there's a ginormous, it's probably 30 stories high mural of David Bowie.
Wow. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. It's like one of the greatest things I ever see in New Jersey. Like whenever I have to go into that area, I've seen it a million times, and it's just amazing. I have a huge Bowie painting in my dining room as well too.
Oh, that's so cool.
Kingston making a note of making a pilgrimage to Jersey City.
You don't ever want to go to Jersey City. Just so you know, you want to skip Jersey City, go right to Hoboken.
Want to go right by. See
right to Hoboken.
Just going.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you check out the rest of their EP, so you have Bowie Suffragette City. They do AC/DC Big Balls. They're doing Psycho Killer,
right? Which is a song that I despise, and I actually like this version.
No, this was a great version, and tell you, that is a risky venture there going there, because you mess up that song, you're going to be ostracized for it, because that is like one of those almost like an untouchable song. First song David Byrne ever wrote too. But you seem like young girls. So how did you get into this type of music? Especially like if you went back like to 70s, you guys are into punky metals. So how, what kind of music were you into growing up, and how did you get into this type of music?
I think we got into, I've always liked all different types of music from all different genres. My parents loved music, so we'd always be listening in the car to all different types of music. And then I think as far as punky and that stuff goes, it's the people that who are in our orbit kind of shape who we kind of listen to and who we kind of like want to cover and things like that. Like Keith Roth from Sirius XM, the Electric Ballroom. He's like the punk rock king. Like he knows everything about punk music. And then there's Punky, who's like the glam rock king. So we're kind of, and then there's Bob Pantella from Monster Magnet. We kind of like learn all these little gems from the people that are around us. But growing up, I loved all kinds of music. I loved rock, but I also loved pop. I was a dancer. So I loved Prince and the Revolution, but I also loved Def Leppard. I loved all types of music. So I think it's just all a combination that's part of me. And then Kingston, being from England, liked different kinds of music than me. And then the combination of those two things together is kind of like how we got our cool sound, I think.
It's so important to be diverse, when you're doing a band, because my styles go from like hard rock and metal and country, where my guitar player was very influenced by the blues and like blues rock. So like we would meet in the middle, and would just, some of this great stuff can just come out from the diversity as well.
Yeah, that happens with us too. Our guitar player is Derek Hawkins, who played in Stabbing Westward and Space Hog, and
love Stabbing Westward. Yeah,
and he is a huge Van Halen fan. So whenever we're like working on something, it always comes out sounding like Van Halen-ish. So like that's his thing. And then like Kingston loves Bowie and the Beatles and that kind of vibe. So like that comes out in what she's working on. And then I'm more of a rocker, so that comes out in the stuff I'm working on. And then it just kind of creates this really unique blend, I think.
Did either one of you play in bands in high school?
Yeah.
You did, Kingston.
I did. I went, so I grew up in this tiny, tiny, tiny little village in the middle of nowhere in England. But I went to this really cool, tiny little independent, very art-based school, which happened to have a rock school associated to it. So like one
in the high school?
There was a rock school, East Sussex Rock School. So on one end, I'd be like doing my ballet and doing the and theater and Shakespeare. And then I'd go down the hall and meet with my vocal coach, who was a huge Iron Maiden fan and a bass player. He actually played for Angel Witch for a while. So I had this like long-haired badass rocker, and I'd go in and be like, "Hi, I want to sing Alanis." And he's like, "Okay, but you have to scream it, lady." And he would make me go outside in the forest, because I'm like, I want to learn how to roar like corn. He's like, all right, cool. Go into the forest with a friend. You need to do A, B, and C. And he taught me how to roar like corn. So it was this very weird juxtaposition. So then I've been playing alternative / rock music since I was, a teenager in the middle of the forest until I moved to New York.
You guys, your musical taste is all over the map.
Yeah.
Between Korn and Alanis and Prince, and so when it came time to put together the EP and choose the songs, were there any songs that you guys kind of clashed over, or songs that maybe one of you felt more strongly about doing and the other one was like, oh, I don't know if this is really kind of what we're going for? Or do you guys see eye to eye on just about like everything?
I think we saw eye to eye on everything for this. The one surprise was when Kingston called me and said, I have an idea, but I don't know if you're going to like it very much. There's a song that AC/DC does. I don't know if you've heard it. And I'm thinking like, of course I've heard it, whatever it is. And she's like, it's called Big Bowls. And I was like, that's genius. Fucking genius. So that was just the one that kind of came out of the blue. It was the last one we did. But I was like, that is so genius. Because girls singing it just takes on a whole nother meaning. Like a girl power anthem, really. You know what I mean? Like, well, we've got big balls too. What are you talking about?
I love how she adapts the British accent like a good duo does. Like, I make fun of Jeff all the time, and I make fun of the way he talks and the way he looks and his comedy and the way he lives his life. Basically, I make fun of everything about him, what I'm trying to say. But it's a great thing because in the end, you're a duo. You know what I mean? Like, and I hate to say it, but me and him are kind of too.
Oh,
that's cute.
I'm in the Christmas spirit. God damn it! I'm telling you.
So warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, well, I question that because if he's not insulting me, that means there's something up.
Right.
How long have you guys been together?
4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
We think 4 years. Do we count the pandemic year? Is that a void?
Well, I don't think comics don't count the pandemic year, but I think musicians can because you guys can go into a studio and kind of record and write.
Stuff. Okay, so I think 4.5 years actually. We're coming up on 5 in March.
I mean, we released our EP. Thank God we had those songs in the can because we released our EP during the pandemic, which was weird, but cool.
I think this year is the end of this year, like the last 6 months of this year, and I think the next 6 months of 2022, you're going to see some absolutely brutal, amazing music come out because people were stuck. And so far, some of the stuff that I've heard, like some of my favorites, are putting out some of their best stuff. Like Ed Sheeran's new album, I think is amazing. Along with Bullet for My Valentine, put out their best album they've ever done in 15 years. So I'm all over the place when it comes to music too. But I think that was the one good thing about the pandemic as far as art goes. We kind of got put on the back burner a little bit. We had to do some garbage shit when it came to comedy, but musicians, Zoom shows and parking lot shows, people sitting in their cars.
We did a parking lot show. Me and Sean did it. Did a bunch of those parking lot shows, and I was the opening act for a movie, an outdoor movie.
Wow.
Yeah, but we could talk about us another time. I'm glad we have you girls here. Another cool thing about the two of you, and it's refreshing that you have the two of you, and you're kind of like a throwback, and you've played with some like really legendary musicians like Earl Slick, who Bowie guitars, and a Staten Islander, Sean. Earl Slick was a Staten Islander. Clem Burke from Blondie, and I remember when Blondie was on hiatus, Clem started another band called, oh my God, they used to play like the punk scene, like at Peppermint Lounge in the city, and I remember I would go and catch the shows. I was in high school, and I actually became friends with him. And he actually gave me drum lessons, but I can't remember the name for me.
It's adding so much to this interview too.
He's such a dick. No, but I mean, how did you guys hook up with like? And it was other musicians as well that you played with besides those two. Do you guys feel intimidated? Do you feel like like when Sean and I we'll perform with someone who is like legendary? Sometimes you got to psych yourself up. Like, no. I do. I never go out there and I go top that and I walk off the stage and I drop the mic and make them fucking work. I never feel unworthy of it. The only time, GreyStarr, the only time I've ever felt that way, I don't know if you know it, I was in this movie called The Irishman, okay? And I worked alongside Pacino. And I was like, I hope Pacino is lucky that he's working with me. I hope he realizes that. No, I got along. It was great. But how was it working with Earl Slick, Clem Burke, and some of the other legendary performers that you guys?
Well, first we have to give props to Keith Roth because he's the connector of everyone we've ever met. Basically, not everyone. Most of the time, it's Keith who's like, "Do you guys want to do this or that? Do you want to do this or that?" A lot of people, Kingston knows from her former rock life before I knew her as well. She was in a band called the Wallflowers, right? Do I have that right?
Wildflowers. It's okay. Everyone does that.
What was the name of the band again?
Dylan.
I played
the Wildflowers.
Tony Harnell and the Wildflowers.
The Wildflowers.
It was close. Bob Dylan's son. No,
right.
Not to be confused with the Wallflowers, who I love, and Jake Dylan's eyes are everything to me.
Yeah.
But Keith,
you should quote that. GreyStarr, Jake Dylan's eyes are everything to me.
That's like all we got out of this interview, basically.
Carry on.
Keith Roth introduced us to a lot of people, and he put us on that David Bowie tribute album called Hero. Which is why
we did Suffragette. Yeah.
Gotcha.
We did Suffragette. So thank you, Keith Roth. I don't know if you'll see this. He's like our brother, and he owns the record label that we're on, Mean Man Records. So he is always like putting us into these very awesome scenarios.
That's cool.
The fun thing recently is that we opened for Flock of Seagulls. Sorry, for a Flock of Seagulls, which we love them so much.
Yes.
And that was like a moment where we're waiting.
We were a little nervous that night. Like we were a little bit nervous to meet Mike's score.
Yeah.
Does Mike still have hair?
No. Do you know how badly I wanted to do to do this with my hair? Like, do you know? I was like so close, and I'm like, no, because he's gonna think I'm taking the piss, and that would be horrible.
Right.
It kind of takes away a little bit of the allure of Flock of Seagulls that he doesn't have that hair.
Though, it's all right.
Still had the allure. They still got it.
I could totally see Jeff having that haircut in like 1984.
Did you have it? Did you have it?
Yes, I did.
Good.
Wow.
I loved Space Age Love Song.
Yes.
That was one of my favorite songs.
When they played that, everybody was just, goosebumping. It was a great night.
It was a great night. And it was really funny because after we met him and said hello, our wonderful drummer, Rob, who's effusively greeted them at the door because we were sharing a drum kit, was like, hi, the legend. So we're having a chat and we're like, just so you know, because, we do some covers in our set. We're like, just so you know, we took Iran out of our set. And Mike Score's like, why? We could have had an Iran off. And we're like, oh, we are now best friends. We're our best friends.
So funny. We could have had an Iran off.
Yeah, with his Liverpudlian accent. He's like, why? We could have had an Iran off. And I'm like, you just made my fucking life. Thank you very much.
So great.
Is his brother still in the band?
No. He has assembled a really beautiful group of musicians, some of whom have been with him for quite a while. Mm-hmm. But it's him. It's him and then his musicians around him. Mm-hmm. Talk about creating a vibe, though, that oh my gosh, they are amazing. And the sound and the vibe are just beautiful. It was a really
repeat it, Kingston, because you kind of froze up a little bit.
Sorry, I'm going to tell you again. So the vibe that he and his band creates now is pretty amazing. Just the soundscapes, like he's he's a soundscape creator, right? His whole new wave thing was all about creating moments and atmospheres, and that shit just waved from the stage all the way through the audience. It was really beautiful.
I saw with Flock of Seagulls, they were, obviously it was the music, but it was also about like the look as well.
Yeah,
it was.
The look, the fashion, so you guys, I saw you guys got to play with Flock of Seagulls. Are there any plans for a tour coming up in the new year?
We hope so.
Yeah, we're working. We are booking our asses off at the moment. We're also taking a moment to do some writing and get some new stuff under our belts.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the next thing I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
As much as I like the EP, I was kind of trying to find some original music. Is there any plans for? It sounds like there is. A full-length album of original stuff.
Yes, we actually started working on that, and then the pandemic happened. So that's why we released the EP first, because those were kind of done already, but they were supposed to be on the full album with our original song. So we just kind of shifted gears for a second.
I think that's kind of a smart move. Right? Because I think when you release an album of covers, it draws people in, and now they kind of like know you and like, hey man, these covers are done really well. Now I want to take it to the next level. Because when you kind of go on Spotify, this is the difference I think in the music business. And I think it was maybe Rob DeLuca from UFO who he was on the show, and he kind of brought this up as well. With the changing of the music industry from, because back in the day, I also used to work in A&R at CBS, and bands would go out and they would tour to support the record. Now you're basically giving away the record to support the touring. That's how bands are making their money.
Right.
Right. So I think. I don't know, Sean, where are we going with this?
I think what happens is, 25 years ago, if you heard somebody say they sold 10 million records, you're like, wow, that's a really big fucking deal. Like no matter what. Here's some of the numbers now for streaming. I don't know if Jeff, if you even realize this or not, but here's some numbers. Amazon Music, you get 0.4 of a cent per stream. Apple Music, you get just under 0.8 of a cent per stream.
Painful.
It is unbelievable. Tidal, which is Jay-Z's service, actually pays the most out of everybody, and he only pays a little over a penny and a third per stream. Like, I don't understand how artists can actually even consider making it at this point. Like, you have to truly love what you're doing, unless you become viral and do a stupid TikTok video with one of your songs behind it. I think it's even harder to make a living doing this now. You can get famous, but I don't know about making a living at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it has to become like you just love doing it. And if you happen to make money, that's like a bonus feature. It can't be like your main thing, especially if you're just starting out or if you're not super, super famous.
Here's the point I was trying to make before with the record business compared to like what's going on now with Spotify. At least with the record companies, what they would do, they would sign a band and you wouldn't have to listen to all this like mediocre crap. If you go on Spotify, you go on YouTube, you go on any streaming service, there's so much like generic type of music. Like you get bored and you just kind of stick to the band so it's hard to kind of be into new music, and radio really doesn't play new music as much as it used to be, so it's very hard for a band to break. So that's why I think it's a smart thing that you put out the EP, draw people in, and then they're gonna kind of like start to know you and follow you. And then you build up your base that way. And then when you start putting out new stuff, all of a sudden you'll start to create a little bit of a buzz.
Thank you. It was actually a happy accident because the concept of our full-length record was going to be kind of that idea of paying homage and starting where we come from and where our hearts come from as musicians, and then morphing into where we're going to as musicians. So we just kind of did it in halves,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Switching gears for a second. this month, if you've been watching anything on HBO, a lot of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is going on, and with the Go-Go's going in, there's been like a big movement towards more women, more inclusive of women in the hall. This is kind of like a running theme on this show, but
Pat Benatar does not belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let's just get this out of
Excuse me?
Sorry,
ladies,
what?
please back me up here. Please back me up. I really want to start a campaign. I think she has to get in the next class. I want to know your thoughts on who do you think, women who are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now, who should be in?
Yes, but we want to know why Sean thinks
Yeah,
that
we need
Pat
to
Benatar
know
shouldn't.
why.
No. Understand something, ladies. It's only because I hate Jeff. I think she's absolutely amazing. I think she's fantastic. If I had to pick 5 women,
it's the biggest snub of
it's
all
one
time.
of.
It's
definitely one of. I would go Pat Benatar. Obviously, I would say that. I'm going to go Sheryl Crow deserves to go in.
Yeah.
One of my personal favorites of all time, Melissa Etheridge.
We like that.
Definitely needs to go in.
Like that.
I think at some point, I think it's way down the road still. I think Grace Potter will probably go in too. I think Grace is fantastic. And selfishly, I'd love Beth Hart to go in, but I don't think that she'll ever make it in.
Your musical tastes are surprising me.
Yes, I'm all over the place. I'm a little sociopathic when it comes to music, but it's totally okay.
I like it.
What about Veruca Salt?
They won't make it. It's only 2 albums, which is kind of shitty because there's a lot of great. I think Hole might have a chance of going in.
No way.
I love
I
Hole.
do.
No,
I do.
You talk about 2 albums, and you talk about 1 album being written by Kurt, and the other one being written by Billy Corgan.
Billy Corgan.
Exactly.
But look, it doesn't make a difference how many albums you have. The Sex Pistols had 1 album; they made it into the Hall of Fame too.
A little different. They kind of, they really, they were like the hardcore bad boy of punk. You associate punk with the Sex Pistols.
True.
Musically,
she also
they're not
hero. So what's the difference?
But I want to know what the ladies think about the Pat Benatar snub. You think she gets in this year?
I would love to see her get in. I read her book. I don't know if you read her book. I can't remember what it's called right now. She had such a long.
I think it's called Hell is for Children.
No, I know.
I'm making that up.
It has a very clever name, and I can't remember it right now. It's downstairs. I'm not going to get it.
Fire and Ice?
No. Oh. It's like
I'm just naming Pat Benatar songs.
I think it's called Between a Heart and a Rock Place. See what she did there?
It is Between a Heart and a Rock Place. Yeah.
Yes. She worked really hard. It just was very parallel to me. I feel like I've been in the music industry for a long time, but no one's ever heard of me until 4 years ago. And she was kind of the same way. She sang in wedding bands. She sang in nobody bands for years before anyone cared about who she was. So I feel like no one really talks about all the years you spent working up to get to where you are before anyone cares about who you are. There's so much pre-work that goes into becoming who you are right now. She was making $100 per wedding, but singing her butt off. And then, sorry, there's a fly attacking me. Really, it's coming at me. She should get in. Yes. I think she should get in.
You made a good point here just now. You said something interesting. All the stuff you did leading up to the 2 of you getting together. What did you guys do before you became a duo?
I actually started as a dancer. I was always a dancer my whole life, a trained professional dancer. I had agents in New York City. I danced at events, big, huge events in New York, travel.
Broadway?
Never Broadway. More pop dancing or R&B dance, events, some choreography, but some freestyle, whatever. And then I got cast in a girl group, and I was a dancer and singer in a girl group, and we were a tribute to 80s freestyle music.
Oh, really? A little Taylor Dane? You have a Taylor Dane look about you?
Taylor Dane? No, I want to hear some Judy Torres and shit.
We did Judy
Torres. I love Judy Torres. I worked with her.
Pajama Party,
they were great.
Cover Girls, George Lamond, TKA, like all the freestyle music. We covered all of that, and we had choreography to every song. So it was pretty cool. It was called Buffalo Stance.
That was Cherry. That's awesome.
That's a Nine Inch Cherry song, right?
Yep. And we did that song as
I might go on record and say I may have made a mixtape for a girl when I was like 12 or 13. May have had Because I Love You by Stevie B on it. May not. I'm not denying.
I hope she took that tape out and smashed it in front of you as a metaphor. Like I don't want this to. I want to smash your dumb heart. Okay.
Dude, I was the dorkiest little freaking kid. All right. You want to hear an embarrassing story? Here's an embarrassing story. So
don't you girls just want to pinch him right now?
Yeah,
just pinch his fat legs.
I have no problem embarrassing myself on the show. So I was 13. I used to go up to my uncle's house in Massachusetts for the summers. We would hang out. It'd be great times. And there was this beautiful fucking girl who lived across the street. She played basketball all the time. No idea what her name was. I was mesmerized by this girl, completely enamored and mesmerized, to the point where the day that I was leaving, I put the boombox on the deck, faced it towards her, and I played Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You by Milli Vanilli.
Oh, what a fucking tool.
Wait, by Milli Vanilli?
Wow.
Dude, I can't look at you. I am cringing right now.
Oh, it was so bad. Oh, I was such a fat little dork. It was horrible.
Oh my God. Girl,
I did not think you were going to say Milli Vanilli.
Why not?
Well, I'm just not going to comment, but
no, I want to hear it.
Because I feel like
that's not a good choice.
That's not a great choice.
And I'm 45, number one.
Yeah.
So when I was 13, they were huge. Nobody knew that they were lip syncers. They thought this was like the next big pop group.
Right.
Until they went on TV and the friggin' tape skipped.
But to me, you're such a metal guy, my friend.
I am.
So...
I'm diverse, Kingston. I also had I Remember You by Skid Row on that mixtape as well. I also had It Must Have Been Love by Roxette, but it's over now because I was leaving to go back to New Jersey.
I hope she found the next guy who walked and made out with him in front of you. He deserved that.
Can you please make us that mixtape?
I have it somewhere. I am a mixtape and a mixed CD aficionado now. It's not as romantic as it is. What are you going to do? Make a playlist and share it? You know what I mean?
I know it's lame.
It's
I miss mixtapes. Yeah,
mixtapes are the best.
Mixtapes are the best. Anyway, that was my journey to becoming a singer. As I wasn't one until I was in Buffalo Stance, and then I got asked to be a sub in this big 80s tribute band in New York that was called
Did you have to take vocal lessons?
I've seen them before. Yeah, they're very good.
I never took vocal lessons. I just learned on the go.
He doesn't need no stinking vocal lessons.
And now Kingston teaches me everything I need to know.
No.
What about you, Kingston? You're kind of quiet over there. What did you do leading up before you hooked up with GreyStarr? What was your musical journey?
So my background is, as I told you, I grew up in the middle of nowhere. But I was a music and theater person. When I first moved to New York City, I was also dancing, but that soon morphed into rock music, which has always been my love. I was in a couple of groups with my now ex-husband, Tony Harnell. You may know him from TNT. Mm-hmm. So we had a couple of really cool, slightly more alternative, not metal. It was more our alternative rock side groups. And did a whole bunch of performing in around the city. I was a tour manager for a while, so I was moving around a lot. I've just always been doing music, whether it be in bands or theater, and just very eclectic, random crap, basically. All good stuff, though. All good stuff.
Is it hard being a female rock duo in this business you could you hear a lot of like with Pat Benatar, you would hear like a lot. She would in that book, and because I read excerpts of it when she talked about how she would have to sit on like radio executives' laps and things like that. Have you guys experienced anything like that? Anything like on the dark side of the business?
I would like to say thank goodness for Pat Benatar and that generation, because we luckily have not had those things happen to us. I mean, I've never had anything happen like that to me. I don't know if it's because I give off like a kind of a tough vibe, like don't fuck with me vibe. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but because of the women that came before us, I think maybe it's getting less and less. I hope. It's never happened to me. I don't know about you, Kingston.
I used to get a lot more flack as a female tour manager than anything else. That was really interesting, especially surprisingly touring through Europe. There was some just weird scenarios that I had to dodge around constantly.
Like what?
A bunch of promoters that immediately saw me with then long hair and immediately assumed that I would be up for anything. And I'm like, no, fuck you. I just need to get my band home and get them on the bus on time. Fuck off.
Anyone give you a hard time with, because, you're the female tour manager, kind of like mess with your money a little bit?
I would never let them. I just wouldn't let them. You just have to be, you just have to be super vigilant all the time. I would just more get, because I was young and female and a tour manager, just the assumptions as to how they thought I would be and how they thought I would possibly be too scared or too timid to say anything. I never really was. I also, having an English accent is sometimes really great because you can very eloquently swear and ream someone out without it being like the worst thing in the world. Like they kind of turn around saying, did that happen to me? Did she just say that? And I'll be like, thank you. On your way. Off your pop. Thanks. Moving on. Cheers.
Well, when you look at like tough women in the business, and as someone who comes across as very sweet until you have to deal with her, is someone like Sharon Osbourne.
Yeah.
There was something else I wanted to ask you guys about. Tell us about, what is the Neon Sessions?
Ooh, we thought you would never ask. The Neon Sessions is a little show we do on YouTube where we interview our rock star friends and do a couple of songs with them. And then at the end, we sing Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yes, we do.
The only person we didn't do that with was Dee Dee Verney because we were too scared to ask him if he would do it.
And then when we started rehearsing with him, though, it came out for some reason. And he's like, oh, my God, you better watch out because I'm in the next show. I'm going to turn around and you're going to be fucking doing Supercalifragilistic. Right. Just watch it. I'm going to get the whole band to learn it. Yeah. It's so funny.
But yeah, it's a cool show that we've only done 3 episodes so far, but we're going to start doing some more next year.
And do you do this via Zoom, or you guys are in a studio and shooting this?
We go to their houses and glitter the shit up with glitter. We
transform their space into our glitterverse.
Yeah. It's really fun. They at first they hate it and then they love it because also we do some like rearranging of furniture and they're like, oh fuck, why did I ever think to do that before?
Right.
Shit, I'm just gonna leave my couch here. We're like, yes, you're welcome.
That's one thing guys don't like is glitter.
It's true.
Guys don't, you know what that is? That's a friggin' mark. That's a friggin' mark on you that says you were somewhere that you were not supposed to be.
Cool episode would have been doing it with Mike's score.
Oh my gosh.
My God.
Yeah. That's a great idea. Who are we going to do next? Oh, Tony Harnell.
We're going to do Tony. Yeah.
But Mike's score is a good one.
What do you guys have planned for the future? Maybe you don't have a tour set up yet for 2000, next year. But what's like upcoming for you girls?
So much. Definitely get that record done, first record fully done and out. Hopefully next year, that's the plan. Really start touring. I feel like everyone's just desperately itching to get back out there. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So we're just looking at who we can support, how we can do that, getting out there. We're going to be playing a bunch with Dee Dee Verney next year.
Nice.
You know that I can't say his name with my accent. I end up doing it American, and that's so annoying.
What are you talking about?
I'm like, English, Dee Dee Verney, English. Because Verney.
A lot though. That happens. You ever like go to Mexico and you watch a commercial and it's like Pepsi Cola. It's the same shit.
That's me. That's what happens to you.
But I don't understand what the other option is.
Verney, Dee Dee Verney, Ernie. Like
that's not good either.
No, it's terrible. Good. It's terrible.
Can we just say Dee Dee?
Thank you. So we're going to be doing a bunch more shows with Dee Dee. Oh my God.
Fixed it.
Yeah.
And he's got a new like a rockabilly kind of band. What's the new band that he's doing?
Okay.
He doesn't like when we say rockabilly.
Not allowed to say rockabilly.
Yeah, I don't care. It's my show.
It's what is it? Big band rock and roll.
Rock and roll.
Okay, yeah. I saw it and I was like,
like Brian Setzer.
Yes, like Brian Setzer.
Yes, like Brian Setzer. And we are the backup singers for this Cadillac band.
That's awesome.
And it's so cool. It's really a cool show, but even though it's big band swing rock and roll vibe, it's hard. Like
heavy.
It's heavy. Like it's really cool. Well, we were on the entire album, and now he asked us to do the live shows, and it's just been really cool.
Whatever you do, just don't tell him that this guy that you did his podcast with about 20 years ago fell asleep at an Overkill DVD taping in Asbury Park. Just don't ever tell him that.
We won't tell him that.
Okay.
He'll think that's funny.
Okay.
We'll tell him. Don't worry.
Sean, ask him your favorite question.
Okay. No. If you can assemble your favorite band that you would sing with, who would it be?
Holy
Any guitar, bass, drums, living or dead?
Oh, bloody hell.
I want the drummer from Def Leppard.
One arm or two arms? Yeah, make a decision.
One arm.
Okay.
I need to think. Well, the drummer. I need to keep thinking. I want Eddie Van Halen on guitar.
Okay.
Can't go wrong with that.
I want Pando on bass.
Pando's from Flock of Seagulls.
Pando's from Flock of Seagulls. He's in Mike Score's band, and we are mesmerized by him. He's like an otherworldly alien creature who's like
superior being.
And I want Mike Score on keyboards. Everybody I get from Flock of Seagulls now.
A pretty good band.
And then what am I missing? I want Kingston on backup vocals.
Yay!
Oh, she just put you to the back.
No, I changed my mind. I want Dee Dee Verney on bass instead of Pando, because Pando's okay, but Dee Dee's better. Maybe I want Punky on guitar, not Eddie Van Halen. I want Punky on guitar.
Well, how about Punky playing rhythm?
No. He needs to do his point. You know, do you guys know what that is?
Yeah.
The Punky point.
Yep.
Yeah, I want Punky on guitar. That's my band.
All right, Kingston, you're up.
I want Tom Morello on guitar.
Oh, that's a great one.
Okay.
Sean, we've never had anyone mention Tom Morello.
No.
And yeah, he's probably in my top 5 guitarists. Great
he
one.
He makes my heartstrings thrum whenever he plays. It just like goes all the way down to my toes. I love him.
Him and Keith are very good friends, so this might not be such a long shot for you.
Holy shit balls. That's exciting. I want Paul McCartney on the bass, please. Because he's tasty. He's tasty. He just is a tasty mofo.
Yeah.
I think I want John Bonham on the drums.
Yes,
because he's like living thunder. I know.
Yes, and it's all about it's rock and roll. It's drugs and it's cocaine and it's whiskey, and this is what it's all about.
Yeah, and just like he's just sort of like that noise is just like it's so good.
Why it's hard to really cover Zeppelin properly.
Yeah, really,
that's right.
Yes,
that is so true.
Like when they do a song like When the Levee Breaks. I've heard, I've seen, some of the greatest musicians try and do that because I would always go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremonies. I used to work them.
Yeah.
But I mean, no one can play like the way Bonham can.
There's two bands that ever covered Zeppelin and did it well. And that's Great White, who did an entire Zeppelin covers album, and they used to do a live set, which is amazing. And you'd never believe
a great version of "Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You."
Yes, amazing. Train, the pop band Train, did Led Zeppelin 2 from beginning to end and released it, and it was absolutely perfect.
Wow.
Well, what do you think about Heart?
Oh, she's a freak too. She's an absolute freak. I love her. I had a crush on her growing up too, and her sister. I'm not gonna lie.
They're gorgeous. They're glorious.
I would have played Milli Vanilli for them too had they driven past me.
And hold your boom box up.
I would do that. I would totally do that.
I'm reading their book right now.
It sucked. What am I going to do?
Thinking and Dreaming. But you know what was interesting?
What?
Well, first of all, because me and Amy are two women in rock, we find many parallels with Heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Harmonizing, they're in a man's world, whatever. But also, Anne went to college for fashion and art, and so did I. So I thought that was very interesting.
Oh, that's cool. Where'd you go?
I went to, when I went there, it was called Philadelphia College of Textiles and Science.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's called Philadelphia University.
Very cool.
Because it got too big to be a college. So now it's a university.
Oh, we forgot to ask him, Sean.
What?
How did you guys hook up with Mike?
Crumb cake?
Crumb cake?
That's what he does. That's his motive. He brings pastry to goddamn shows and tries to lure people in.
No, he doesn't.
Let them manage him.
No, he doesn't. He brings crumb cake to shows.
We knew him as the crumb cake guy for months and months and months before we met him. The first time we met him was when we opened for Tiffany. Yeah. And then he was following us. We're like, he's a really cool dude. And then he kept talking about crumb cake because there's a British show that has crumb cake in it. So we're like, cute, crumb cake guy. And then he was like, oh, I'm coming to blah, blah show. I think it was Angel. Yeah. Because we opened for Angel. And he's like, and I'm bringing crumb cake. And we're like, oh, that's cute little, banter. And then there was Mike with crumb cake that we then had to take backstage in our heels with our crumb cake and shove into our band as Frank Domino looked on. And we're like, excuse me, whilst we just put this crumb cake in our bag.
Mike is a nice guy. Mike is a nice guy.
I love Mike.
What he does to me daily is send me horrific dad jokes.
Oh my goodness.
On Facebook daily, to the point where I have to up my blood pressure medicine.
Yeah.
And question my life path as going into comedy that I would run into people like this.
Yeah.
But we love him. He's a sweetheart.
He's great.
But I'm so, as much as I hate you for playing Girl, you know it's true, whatever that stupid Milli Vanilli song was.
Girl, I'm gonna miss you. Very different.
Girl, I'm gonna miss you.
Girl, I'm gonna miss you.
Oh, I forgot about I'll Be Loving You Forever by New Kids on the Block was on there.
Yeah. I love that.
Stop! Don't encourage him, please.
I'm going to see them in concert in July, by the way.
No, New Kids on the Block.
Yes, in July, I'm going to New Kids on the Block, Elton John, and the Foo Fighters.
What are you, a gay pedophile? What's wrong with you?
Oh, gee, Jeff, let me think about this. Oh, hold on a second. Let me go to a concert. What am I going to go see? Am I going to go to Iron Maiden where there's 20,000 metal dudes who are fat, sweaty, stinking, disgusting? Or am I going to go to a New Kids on the Block concert where it's full of 99% of 40-year-old soccer moms who are hot as shit? What am I going to go to, Jeff? You pick.
That's a very
Iron Maiden. Where is New Kids on the Block playing?
Hard Rock, Atlantic City.
Yeah, I need to go to that.
You're gonna. Oh, what?
What better way, Jeff, to spend July 4th than just hanging tough?
Oh my
on that note, we gotta end this show, and we may not ever do this again. I cannot take it. I can't. My heart is palpitating. I'm getting in my car, I'm driving to New Jersey, and I'm gonna punch you. I cannot take this anymore.
I'm good with that. Give us your social media handles so we can wrap the show up and get all our fans to like all your stuff.
It is Kingston and GreyStarr, 2 R's.
And an E in the gray.
Yeah.
Could you make it difficult?
Not our fault. It's Bob Pantella. Bob Pantella with his fucking 2R situation.
It's always Bob's fault. Everything is.
All of it.
No, listen, no shit to our listeners. We turned you guys on to Tempt. They turned out to be really great. You saw they're touring with Maiden which is pretty good. You guys also, folks, we won't steer you wrong. Check out these girls' EP. It is really, really good. I mean, if it wasn't good, I'd say, okay, check it out. But I'm telling you, it legit. You guys are really good. Okay, and you're picking great songs, and I can't wait to hear, the new album, what you come up with, and hopefully we'll be seeing you live shortly.
Yes, thank you for having us.
I'll see you at New Kids on the Block, July 4th.
Hell yeah, man!
Fuck.
Oh shit!
I can't take this guy.
Hit the subscribe button, people.
Yes, please. If you want more of this banter. Okay, I may or may not be here next week. All right, guys.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We wish you the best, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.